Well, it can only be better than the first one. Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am reviewing Suicide Squad by James Gunn. I do want to discuss spoilers, but I realise this film is pretty new, so I'm going to keep those at the end of the video. You'll get my thoughts and you'll get my rating, and then you'll get the spoilers. And yes, I will give you a warning for when that time comes. So, James Gunn's Suicide Squad is a rebranding, I would say, of the David Ayer's Suicide Squad from a few years ago, which was, I think it's fair to say, is nothing short of a fucking disaster. Honka honka! And I'd actually say it really did pump the brakes for DC in regards to their movies. They thought they were onto something, and no, they were not. No, they were not. So, several years later, James Gunn has been given the same title and been told to do with it what you will, essentially. And I actually thought that this was probably the best pairing you could ask for, James Gunn and the Suicide Squad. That's like bread going with butter. It just makes sense. And then I watched the film, and I wasn't blown away, if I'm being honest. I thought it was good. I thought it was enjoyable, entertaining, certainly different. There are higher stakes, higher risks here, but I thought a hell of a lot of it was predictable. Dialogue was so thick and obvious about like, oh, that's going to come up in half an hour's time, I guarantee, or oh, that's going to come up at the very end and that'll be the resolution of that character, because it's just too on the nose. I felt like I was waiting for things to happen because you basically told us it was going to happen. That was a problem for me. It actually made me less engaged with the film. I felt like the start was incredibly rough. The way that it's played out just made the film predictable for me, because it's like, well, if we're going to do it like that, then what's the next 2.5 hours for? It literally spelt out like an alphabet to me how this film was going to go plot-wise. And that leads me on to the plot. It's a bit of a mess. It isn't a complicated plot by any means at all, yet the way it is delivered could definitely alienate an audience. Characters pop up and you're just like, who's this guy again? Why is he here? What is he still doing in this? You get to certain points in the plot and then they'll just drop it and they'll do something else for half an hour and then they'll pick up the plot again and you're just like, oh yeah, we're still doing that? I forgot that was in here. The only way I can put this, and I think I'm going to be the unpopular opinion here, but I felt like I was watching other people have fun on a roller coaster. I was the guy holding the bags and the phones and everything. It looked fun. It looked like you guys had a lot of fun doing it and making it, but it didn't really lead to anything. It was just blood, violence, this, blah, blah, stuff, things, blang, at the end. I just didn't attach to this film. I didn't attach to the characters. And obviously in the fact that, you know, people are at risk here and there is a chance that people are not going to make it to the end, it also gives you that incentive of not wanting to get attached to them because, well, they might not be here in 5 minutes' time. Did leave me alienated in places, I must admit. I think the cast is really good. Genuinely, everyone is bringing their A game to this. I had some issues with the character of Bloodsport. I thought Idris Elba was excellent. He, in the film, was excellent, especially when he's paired up with John Cena. That is a very good dynamic, and I actually think they should have done more of it. But my issue with the actual character of Bloodsport is he does absolutely feel like a rip-off of Deadshot. The motivation, the skill, his actual ability, some of his gadgets, it really does feel carbon copy. But that really isn't an insult towards Idris Elba. I actually thought he brought a lot of charm and charisma to this film. The jokes, they're very hit and miss. When they hit, they're very funny. They're genuinely funny jokes. When they don't, you can hear the crickets chirping. And it's too frequent. It's way too frequent that they don't land. My favourite character, I think everyone's going to say this though, it's King Shark, of course. It was a gamble to put him in this and it totally paid off in my opinion. I thought he was excellent, charming, funny, just a great addition to the team and so cool to see Sylvester Stallone do a character like this. I liked Ratcatcher, I liked Polka Dot Man. I thought that the cast were great. They genuinely brought a lot to the characters. I did have an issue with Harley Quinn, however, and this isn't on Margot Robbie's part. I think this is in the writing and the directing. Vague, again, very vague. There is a section somewhere in the middle of the film where I don't believe for a minute that Harley Quinn would do any of which she actually goes on to do in that section. And when you come to the end of the film, you realise how completely unnecessary that entire section was. You just cut it. Just get rid of it. It doesn't feel like Harley Quinn. It's not really that good. It isn't interesting. The other character involved, please, just go away. I have no interest in you. There's enough characters going on here for this generic guy. Honestly, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like Harley Quinn. That's my biggest complaint about it, is I don't believe Harley Quinn would ever do this. I really do think it's in the writing. No, this is not slander against Margot Robbie. That woman is a queen and she can do nothing wrong. She is Harley Quinn embodied. She looks like Harley Quinn came alive from a comic book. They also jumble the timeline and the structure of the story, and I don't think that helps things either. I think they're trying to do that to sort of, hey, we're quirky and we're the Suicide Squad, and it actually just made the plot confusing when it didn't need to be. It really doesn't help the fact that about 2 nights ago, I watched The King of a Scrambled Timeline. So this 3 minutes earlier, 5 minutes later, 3 days ago thing, this looked so amateuristic to me, and it is probably because I just watched this. So I'm going to give The Suicide Squad a 7 out of 10. This really was a mixed bag for me. It blew both hot and cold. When it was hot, it was hot. And when it was cold, it was pretty damn cold. However, I do lean more towards the positive side, despite spending the last 10 minutes just complaining about the movie mostly. It is memorable. It is enjoyable. I have seen a lot worse. And when you compare it to other DC properties, such as Batman vs. Superman, the previous Suicide Squad, yeah, this is much better. A lot better. If that's all you're looking for, then you are going to adore this film. You're going to be so happy to say DC are getting it right. Maybe I am being a prick. I'm probably being a really artsy-fartsy prick, and that's fine. I'll take that crown quite gladly. Because I just wanted more. I just wanted a little bit more structure and a little bit more involvement on my part, in the sense that I could actually attach to these characters, actually feel for them, and I just never did. I always felt on the precipice of it. I would still recommend it, especially if you think you're gonna like this. It is violent, it is comic booky, so if that's not your thing, you know what to do, don't worry about it. But if you're umming and ahhing, you're not sure, maybe didn't like the first one, not sure about this one, I am saying you should check it out. I think you will like it. Spoiler time, you have been warned. So the section with Harley Quinn that I am talking about earlier in the review is that she gets engaged to a prince, I think, of some sort. He's rich. He's very rich. He looks like he could be royalty. I don't even really know where they are. It's somewhere in Maltese, something. But she gets engaged to this criminal prince. They have like a bit of a happy montage, la-di-da, with skipping, holding hands and things like that, only for Harley to find out this guy is a psychopath, and she then kills him. It's just pointless. The whole thing is just pointless. I don't understand Harley Quinn's perspective here. In this instance of the character, not the animated version or previous versions, she has gone through Birds of Prey and the last Suicide Squad, and she's over Mr. J, the Joker. She even has the tattoo on her shoulder that says property of no one. She's her own girl. She takes care of herself. This is actually a big reason why she has been so lauded in the public eye so recently, is that she's quite a strong feministic character, actually. She don't need no man. So now why is she falling in love with this random dude with money who I don't think Harley would take seriously for a minute, would definitely take the piss out of rather than fall in love with, and would probably kill him way sooner, or hear about his devious plan and say, how can I get in on that?
There are 2 ways that diamond's coming out of you. This way, or this way. That's what I thought.
She's Harley frickin' Quinn, people. She's not the fucking Duchess of Cambridge. And it felt like a huge sidestep in the story that was completely unneeded. Now, I'm guessing you probably had already figured this out, but a lot of people die in this movie. There's a lot of characters, and probably at the end of the day, maybe 4 of them are alive. But yeah, James Gunn said people are going to get killed off here, and he was not kidding. People die nastily and frequently. And the reason I found it rough was that I kind of saw it coming. Those opening 10 minutes, you're given a bunch of throwaway characters that you are never ever gonna see ever again. And they are all killed off very nastily, very quickly, only for the time jump to then go back 3 days prior. So we already know what happens to a lot of these guys because you've just shown it to us. So we know not to bother about being invested in them. And not only that, they're not at all the focus of the movie. So it just feels like a 10-minute long joke that is funny in places. The TDK, the Nathan Fillion joke, that for me was the funniest joke in the whole film because I just didn't see it coming. I did think, what is this guy's powers? What can he do? I know that his limbs come off, but how does that help you? It turns out it doesn't fucking help you at all. It's a dogshit power and he gets brutally murdered in a very funny way. But then Captain Boomerang is killed and that's like, oh, he's one of the few from the first one that I actually did like. But no, he's just gone, and I guess that's him gone forever now. He is definitely not coming back after that. And I actually feel like at times James Gunn went a bit too far. Polka Dot Man also does not make it. He gets really far into the film. He probably dies with 20 minutes left to go. And again, why kill him? You actually don't need to. He's one of the few characters where you have established background. You actually have made us care about him to a degree. I don't think the mum joke worked where he keeps seeing his mum around him. It was funny the first time. They do it 3 times. And it just, bored by the second, third time of it. But I did care about him as a character. I understood how his powers worked. I understood why he was pretty much the way that he was. And you just squash him. Gone. Could have been an interesting property there. You could have definitely brought him back for cameos, future projects. I don't know. I think you went a little bit too gluttonous on the deaths at times. And I also had an issue with the staff, I guess, of the Suicide Squad. I don't really know what they're... Task Force X, I think. The guys who work in the desks and have all the computers and say, enemy on your 5. Those people. When we first meet them, they're taking a Deadpool on who's going to die first. They're literally putting bets on, oh, this guy's getting fucked up. Oh, she's screwed. I'll put 50 on her getting fucked up. And then as the film progresses, they suddenly become saints. And they're like, our boss is really fucking evil. We should do something about her. Since when the fuck did you lot grow a conscience? Jesus Christ, have you not been relevant of the past films Amanda Waller's character has been in? You should know this woman to a fairly good extent. You have worked for her for years. This cannot be the first time she's pulled a stunt that made you go, oh, that's too far. Didn't believe it. Didn't buy it. Not gonna buy it. It doesn't make sense. You work for an evil corporation. Surely you have some insight as to what goes down at an evil corporation. If you don't, that is quite the fucking epiphany to have. I only just realised in the editing that I didn't mention anything with Starro. I'll keep it brief. It was excellent. That was probably the best part of the movie. Starro looked great. His design was very cool. The minions that he has working for him, yeah, it was great. Thanks for watching this review. Please leave a like and subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment down below. I'd love to know what you thought of the movie. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video.